Hey everybody, welcome to today's play call. I'm going to give you some hardcore alpha charts that you can actually trade today. Then we're going to look at some macro charts going back to the 1920s, the Great Depression. Let's go right into it here, guys. Take a look at this chart of PayPal. PayPal reported earnings yesterday after the bell. Their earnings were solid. Their guidance was weak. The stock is selling off. Yesterday closing at 75.5. Today it's trading right around $70. If you look over here from late 2022, there was a bottoming tail pivot low and a little gap fill. That's your target today for a trade. This would be probably a day trade where you jump in, you jump out right around $67 per share. So 67 give or take. Look for a bounce. If it can flush in the first 30 minutes, that's always the ideal because that's when the panic is going to be at its greatest. So $67 on that. Next, we got to take a look at this chart here. Take a look at this. This is the S&P 500 going back to 1929, the Great Depression low right there. Look at how every time we come back to this line, we get a bounce, okay? And again, you saw periods where we were away from it for a fair amount of time. But if you look here, here's your 2009 low. Look, we're extended. If you look at the extension move before, this is basically the most extended we've ever been on the chart away from that trend line. And again, what you have here, if you zoom out and you see that little pattern, that's what we call a bear flag formation. All right, so ultimately what this is telling me is probably in the next few years, you're going to revert to the mean or the general trend line here and come all the way back into that trend line. All right, now, by the way, that's assuming we don't overshoot like in some places in history. But again, it's just amazing to show trend lines that go so far back in history and still hold true. So what this would also tell me is if the market panics and dumps, if we get down to this line, there's going to be massive panic out there. But history shows us, what would we do? We would be buyers at that level. And again, that's what you have to understand is that when you're a technical trader, you're neither bullish nor bearish, you're neither greedy nor fearful, you trade the charts. And that's what it's all about. All right, I want to show you this other chart here, guys. And again, look at this chart. This is going back to the 2009 lows on the NASDAQ 100. And briefly, what I want to do is I want to bring up this chart. I want you guys to kind of look at this low. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this low, this corresponds with disbelief, right? Disbelief. This is psychology of the market right here on the chart right in this area, and this is the corresponding values. So what we can clearly see is you had disbelief, then you had hope as it recovered, optimism as it went higher, and then if you look here, belief, thrill, euphoria. Then you have the drop and you have complacency. So if we continue on here, belief and then into euphoria right at the highs, and then pullback and complacency. So euphoria, pullback, complacency. If we go back to this, euphoria, pullback, complacency. And the idea is that you're probably just, I'm guessing somewhere right at this end part where in the next couple months we are likely going to take that nosedive down. My guess it corresponds with the macro of a recession where the Fed can't print this out because inflation remains too high. But again, look at this pattern and then look at this pattern here. Same exact pattern, bear flagging before a dip. A lot of people are telling me, and again, this is the narrative out there, is that we're going to have this next bull market. It's going to be amazing. People are missing the boat on this one, folks. The charts do not confirm that. Make sure you understand. Stay protective. Doesn't mean there's not going to be bounces. There's always bounces. But this is a market that is on a cliff ready to dump out. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day. I'll see you in the charts. Take care.